Howdy music lovers, and welcome to the first segment from Wilson Valley Mercantile's Songwriter Sessions. I'm thrilled to bring you closer to the beating pulse of the music scene as we gear up for the highly anticipated upcoming Wilson Valley Songwriter Roundup. Today we have the distinct pleasure of sitting down with two incredibly talented singer-songwriters who are set to grace our stage. They'll be sharing a glimpse into their musical journeys, their inspirations, and what you can expect from their performances at the Roundup. Get ready to dive into some great conversations and discover the stories behind the songs. Let's welcome our guests. I'm John, the proprietor here at Wilson Valley. I'm thrilled to be joined today by our host, Ely Buck Davis, and an incredibly talented guest, Parker Jensen. Ely brought the Roundup to our stage over 2 years ago and has been consistently getting great talent in on the first and third Thursdays of each month. Now let's go to Ely and Parker. Guys, if y'all would take a second here and promote yourself and tell us about your background and your inspiration for this life.
Okay. Well, we're promoting you, Parker. Why don't you go first?
All right. Well, my name is Parker Jensen. I'm 17 years old. I am a country, Americana, bluegrass singer-songwriter from Georgetown, Texas, and just trying to make things work, I guess.
Nice. I gotta point out, I've been watching. Actually, I shared a post. It might have been the Roundup post, a flyer. My niece used to live in Georgetown, and she reminded me. She's like, we used to go watch Parker play on the square in Georgetown. He was like, correct me if I'm wrong, 7 or 8 years old when you started kind of busking down there on the street?
Yeah, I used to busk down there all the time.
And he was pretty impressive then. He's come a long way, but he was already, he came out of the gates pretty hot.
See, I've only seen him play the one time that you had him hop up on stage here at the tasting room, and I was amazed. So.
Oh, that's right. You did come up on, I think that might have been our anniversary or something.
Yeah.
Played a handful of songs.
I was like, we've got to get this guy on the roundup, because I was unaware that you had originals. I knew you were accomplished guitar picker, flat picker, and highly influenced by the bluegrass genre, but I was unaware that you had originals, and your dad told me that you had some originals. So I was like, well, we got to get this guy on the roundup, because that's what we're all about, is showcasing original music. So we're looking forward to having you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Looking forward to playing.
So, Ely, what about your background? Tell the folks about you a little bit.
Long story short, I don't really come from a musical family, but there were a few people in the family that kind of influenced me. My Uncle Jay was a piano player. My aunt and his sister, she took lessons, so she could play by reading out of the hymns, but something about him, he could just pick up and play whatever she did after she'd worked on it for hours trying to get this piece down, for her piano teacher or whatever. And he would sit down right after she got done and completely copy it. And he had never learned a note in his life, And I kind of did the same thing with my sister. My sister took lessons, and I remember she would come home and I would make her mad, because then I would just kind of pick it out. So it started with the piano, and then I did saxophone all through high school and college. Paid my way through college with the saxophone. But when I got into college, I picked up the guitar late in life. I mean, I was about 23, 24 when I picked it up and got serious with it. I've always kind of messed with one and played, a chord or two. But I got serious about it and started trying to learn how to finger pick. And I really got influenced by a lot of singer-songwriters via YouTube. That was when YouTube really became popular, and I just started researching everybody under the sun. And then from there, it just kind of started. It was easier to write my own songs than it was to sound like somebody else. So I ended up started just writing my own songs and doing that instead. That's pretty much it.
I want to point out one thing, that you may not have had that too much influence growing up, but I do know for a fact that your dad's a heck of a storyteller. So maybe that's a piece of it too.
My dad definitely influenced my aunt, my uncle, and my grandfather. He was a clarinet player. They influenced the musical part of it. And then the writing, my dad is a natural storyteller, natural comedian, and which I didn't get that. I try to be funny, but he also writes poems. He writes poems for my mother. He writes humorous poems about, growing old and things that happen in life. And he's got books and books of poems, and they're very, very good. He wants me to make songs out of them one day, and I probably will. But yeah, he's definitely got influenced by him for the poetry part.
Parker, what about you? What's been your influences that have driven you to write your songs?
Real life experiences always primary number one for me when it comes for my songwriting. I'd also say sometimes I make up stories in my head, so sometimes I'll just write those down and then just make a poem out of them and then just put music to it. I mean, that's It's pretty music for me. I'm not really a songwriter, if I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just now getting into it. I'm doing the best I can with it, but I can acknowledge that I'm not the greatest. But what I'll always say is I always write from the heart, always write from real life experiences. And my dad was also a poet, so I guess I kind of got a little bit of that too. So
You say you're not a songwriter, but I truly believe if you keep that standard of writing, real life situations, things that you relate to, because sometimes people think that it's, it only relates to us, so no one else is going to get it, but you'd be surprised about, what touches somebody else and the masses, because at the end of the day, we're all, we all kind of have the same motions and different things going on. So I believe if you stick to that standard that you have now, you're definitely going to be a well-accomplished songwriter.
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I was up in Arizona back in November. I wrote a song and I made 3 people cry, but it was just one of those songs where it's like I just wrote it, I wasn't looking to write a hit or anything. I was just like, I've got emotions, I'm going to write it down. I got these thoughts, I'm going to write it down, and out comes this song, and I made 3 people cry with it. It's like, it truly is powerful how much music can affect people.
Yeah, that's a good sign. If you can make someone cry, if you can make someone laugh, not that we're intentionally writing songs just to make, people get upset, but it's just a matter of, like you said, the way people react to a song, and it makes you feel good too. It's kind of, every occupation, there's some kind of sense of reward that you get from finishing the job. When you get done at the end of the day, when you clock out, you should have some kind of sense of reward, like, okay, I did a good job today. With songwriting, that's kind of it. When you see a grown man that looks like, he probably rides a motorcycle and could beat somebody up, but when you see a tear roll down his eyes because of a song that you wrote and you performed, that's that accomplishment feeling, that award that you get at the end of the day. For me, anyway.
I feel the same way. And that's kind of what made me continue on with songwriting, because I've only written a couple songs during that time. And I wrote that one because I probably only had like 5 songs that I wrote. And so I was like, all right, I'm just going to write a song. And since I'm with family, I'm just going to show it, why not? It's a family gathering. Yeah, after all that happened, that kind of inspired me to keep writing good songs or bad songs, just keep going.
Yeah. Keep working at it. That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. So let's skip on to another question now, and just whoever wants to go first, go for it. Whenever you're getting ready for your live performances, what's going through your mind? How are you preparing, and what do you do to connect with the audience? How's that work for you? Silence fill the live stream.
For me, I would probably say to get ready, I always write down the songs that I want to play.
Have a set list?
In a specific order too, because I feel like sometimes those songs can tell a story for me, the journey of my writing process. So sometimes I'll write like the first song I've ever written, and I'll play that first, and then the last song is typically like my newest song or the one I'm most proud of. Always end with a bang, as they say. So yeah, and honestly, I always get nervous, or I always get some sort of shivers. I don't know if that's the right word, but I always get some sort of tense feeling before I go on and play a show. So I always make sure to pray before I go on show.
Yeah, I heard somebody a long time ago say if those shivers, if that nervousness ever goes away, then you probably need to find another job. If you don't care that much about something, that it makes you a little. Now, you should be confident in what you're doing if you've practiced, and if you've if you've prepared enough, you're going to be able to perform without completely losing it. But you still have a little bit of that nervousness in the back, and that's just because you want to do a good job and you don't want to mess up, and that's because you care about what you're doing. You take pride in the craft of musicianship and songwriting. But yeah, I just like to pass that on. If you ever lose that, that's not a good thing. I think you should always have a little bit of that in the back. That's what keeps us going,
Yeah, and it's always because I want the shows to go like a specific way, but like I always want the shows to leave someone changed, or just have some sort of different emotion walking out than they did walk in.
Well, and I think that should go for every profession, because I actually heard that from, it wasn't a musical situation. I was living in Nashville, but my day job, I was working at a hospital. and somebody passed away in the ER, and there was a nurse that was very upset, and she was crying, and the other nurses were making fun of her. And this doctor, he looked to be 80 something years old, came over with his white cloak, and he grabbed her by the arm, and he said, "Don't listen to those other fools." He said, "You never lose that." He said, "The moment that you become numb to what's going on in here, you need to find another job." He's like, you obviously cared about your patient, that it makes you upset, And I took that with me through the music is, if this ever becomes numb to me where I'm not excited or I'm not passionate or I'm not a little bit nervous, then it's time to do something else,
I agree.
Just my little bit of advice.
Well, after that sombering story, let's talk about future projects and what do y'all guys got coming up in the next year or so?
What you got, Parker?
Well, this July, I think it's the 7th, I am going into the studio to get my first official tracks done, and I'm honored to have Jody Bartula on them, so that'll be super awesome. Oh. It's gonna be a good time. Probably some songs that are released and some songs that aren't released yet, but I'm excited to just have the experience of getting it out there and the studio time for sure.
I had a little interference. I had a little interference there that I may have missed it, but did you mention where you're recording this project?
I did not mention that. It's in the Woodshed in Granger, Texas.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that place.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I'm drawing a blank now who I've heard some other projects come out of there, and I remember it being very good. That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited because I'm not used to going into an actual studio and doing the thing, Basically, all my tracks, I think one was done in the studio, but other than that, all of them were done out of my front room.
Yeah.
Dealing with allergies, so I didn't sound my best, but I was just super on fire and passionate to get it done that I just didn't really care. I just got it out because it's what I wanted to do.
Well, tell me if you agree with this. So we were just talking about the nervousness before a performance. What about the nervousness before releasing a project? Do you feel that, or is that just me?
I feel nervous because
do what now?
I always feel nervous or anxious whenever I put it on.
Yeah,
it's something that my dad says. He's always like, these songs are like your babies, It's like you want them to do good. You want them to grow and thrive. So, as an up-and-coming artist like I am right now, of course, they're not going to do great because I'm not known.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know. But the songs I've put out, they're doing pretty good for no promotion at all. They're doing really, really well. But I would say I'm really hoping that the songs that I work on in the studio, I'm hoping that they can gain some sort of traction for sure.
And are there other writers on this record, or is it mainly you? Or
I think there is one other writer on there.
Okay.
But all the songs were written by me, but I had a co-writer on them too. I think except for one song.
That's something I want to work on for next year or even this year, is get out of my comfort zone and try to co-write. And I don't have. If
I'm not mistaken, Ely, you do have one song that's co-written, right?
I do have one song that's technically co-written because my wife overheard me writing a song, and she threw in maybe one or two words. I can't even remember what, but I have to put her down as I have to give her credit for it because she did help me finish the song. If it wasn't for her, I would have never gotten over that little hump and finished the song. I want you to eat this coffee cup here. This is one of my favorite places. I don't know if you knew or not. Can you see what that says?
It says Galveston Island. Yes, we can see it, Ely. I wasn't aware that you liked that part of the world. Had no idea.
Yeah. Ooh,
I know. I want to toss out there. I know, Ely, your music's all available on Spotify, Apple Music, all the streaming services. Jensen, are you the same? You got everything everywhere, or?
Yeah, I have music on Spotify, Apple, probably anywhere. Honestly, if I remember correctly, I just put it on everything that was available to me.
Well, let's wrap up a little bit here, and what as a more seasoned musician, Ely, what's your advice for aspiring songwriters? And on the opposite side, Parker, what can you tell folks that might want to start working towards songwriting and playing?
I think, like we were talking about earlier, and what Parker mentioned about staying true to yourself and writing songs that reflect your life or somebody else's life that personally or have heard of. You want to be connected in some way to a story before you write it, and that's just my personal opinion. I'll bring up again, when I was living in Nashville, there was a person, I won't say any names, but they wrote a song about muscadines, and when I heard the song, it was very obvious that they had never eaten a muscadine or picked a muscadine or drank muscadine wine. It was just they liked the word and they thought it was country and they wrote it. And come to find out, they were from a part of this country where muscadines don't even grow. And I asked them, I said, where did you get inspired? And they're like, oh, I just heard some redneck say that word and I liked it and I just wanted to put it in a song, And it rubbed me the wrong way because that's my culture. I grew up laying a tarp down on the ground and lassoing a limb up in the top of a muscadine or top of a tree where the muscadine vines were growing and pulling on it and shaking them out where they land in the tarp and you funnel into a bucket. You make jelly, wine, and all kinds of stuff with it. And I grew up doing that as a kid. So to hear someone take that out of context and just make up something it was, I don't know, it rubbed me the wrong way. And I think people, I guess what I'm trying to get at is people can see when you're not authentic, and I can tell that Parker is authentic because he writes about what's true to him. So if I was going to give some advice, just stick with what you know. You don't have to necessarily always write about yourself, but write about something that you can relate to or something that you're close to in some way, some fashion. Parker?
Man, you kind of just took what I was going to say. Just stay true to yourself. Yeah, I was going to say just stay true to yourself. Don't ever change. If someone doesn't like you for you when it comes to your music, I mean, if it's what you love, then keep doing it, even when people don't like it. Because everyone tells me if you don't have haters, then you're not doing it right.
I like that.
So I would just say if the song resonates with you and you love the song, then don't worry about what everyone else says. Just do it.
I like that.
That's good, guys. Thank you all, and appreciate y'all visiting with me today. Next the roundup that y'all will be participating in is tomorrow, June 5th, 6 p.m. Wilson Valley Mercantile. So see y'all tomorrow. Appreciate
you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Parker,
can't wait.
Look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, can't wait to see you too. Got some new songs playing tomorrow, so it'll trying them out. It'll be a good time.
Hell yeah. And John, thanks for having a place for us to do this. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much.
We enjoy live music. We enjoy original music, and we got a facility to be able to showcase it. So here we are.